Welcome, welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Thank you. So we are in the parsha of Tavo, and as we've mentioned when we started studying this parsha is noted for the 40-some verses of curses that are in them. And it starts off with a few verses of blessing. And in fact, we're just about to finish the blessing before we head into the curses. So, okay, we'll get started. Baruch atah b'vo'echa, may you be blessed in your coming. Uvaruch atah b'tzeitecha, and may you be blessed in your going. In a way, it's a way of summarizing all the blessings that have preceded this particular verse. So, Baruch atah b'vo'echa uvaruch atah b'tzeitecha, and in Baba Metzia, page 107, it says, She'tehei tziatcha min ha'olam, that you're departing this world. Below chet ukeviatcha lu'olam, that it should be without sin, just as you came into the world. So your departure from this world should be in the same state of purity and lack of sin as your coming into it. So let's see how. Yes, okay. So make sure I've got didn't jump to somewhere else. All right. So it's going on. We do actually have quite a few more verses, I'm happy to say. So we'll do them, and they're blessing. Because I have to tell you, I sort of semi-dread having to do the curses. They are pretty strong. So I'm happy that we do. Yiten Hashem et oivecha hakamim alecha nigafim lefanecha. The Lord will place your enemies who rise up against you, put to the rout before you. B'derech echad yetzu elecha, in one way they will come out to you. Uveshiv'at drachim yanusu lefanecha, and with 7 ways they will flee before you. There is a Rashi on this. By the way, some of these statements are, and I think the reason it's separated from the previous aliyah is that these also become the basis of curses. In other words, when we're cursed, the very reverse happens to us. So, Uveshivat rachim yanus lechanecha. What is the significance of saying that in 7 paths or ways or roads they will flee before you? Kain derech hanivhalim. It is the way of people who are frightened, livroach, to flee, lihiyot mitpazrim lechol tzad, to be scattered in every direction. And of course, part of the idea of that is that if they're scattered, if one group gets captured, the other group will escape. So I think that is it for the Rashi on that, yes. And as you can see, we don't have too much Rashi now coming on. But Yitzav Hashem itcha et habracha. The Lord will command regarding you the blessing, ba'asamecha, in your barns, ubechol mishlach yadecha, and in everything that you set your hand to. Uve'rachacha, and he will bless you, ba'aretz asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach, in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. So again, just to remind you that I believe the essential meaning of bracha has to do with plenitude, of never having to lack something. Yekimcha Hashem lo la'am kadosh, the Lord will raise you up for himself as a holy people, so a distinguished people, I would say. Ka'asher nishbalach, just as he swore to you, ki tishmor, for you, and in this case, the word ki has more of the sense of, I believe, because or if you guard et mitzvot Hashem Elokecha, the commandments of the Lord your God, v'halachta bidrachav, and you walk in his paths. And as has occurred to me now very, very strongly, that the idea of Elohim is the very notion of performing God's will. And of course, the way in which, at least as Jews, we believe we understand divine will is through these mitzvot. So the Torah is this revelation of divine will, which allows us to make the Lord our God. But it is, as you can see, it's totally involved in that ability to perform the mitzvot, and the mitzvot become a medium by which we make the Lord our God, in fact. V'ra'u kol, Amei haaretz, and all the nations of the world, of the earth, ki shem Hashem nikra alecha, that the name of the Lord is called upon you, v'yar'u mimeka, and they shall fear you. V'hotircha Hashem latova, and the Lord will give you abundance for good. You can have abundance that isn't for good, right? B'fri vidnecha, in the fruit of your womb, uvefri vehemtacha, and in the fruit of your cattle, uvefri admatecha, and in the fruit of your land. And that's, of course, we're seeing blessing, right? That's the whole issue of blessing. Al ha'adama, on the earth, or the soil, asher nishpa Hashem lavotecha, or the land on which the Lord your Lord swore to your ancestors, latet lach, to give to you. Iftach Hashem lacha et tzaro hatov, the Lord will open up for you his wonderful treasure house, and that is et hashamayim, the heavens, latet metar artzacha beito, to provide the rain for your land at its proper time. Ulevarech et kol maaseh yadecha, and to bless all the work of your hands. Behilvita goyim rabim, you will lend to many nations. Va'ata lo tilveh, but you will not need to borrow. Yes, Lauren.
So I just had a vocabulary question.
Sure.
The word for treasure there
Yes.
is not the one that we usually are is translated as treasure when they talk about segulatecha or
Segula.
segulato. They
Segula.
translate it as treasured.
Right, right.
And so I was wondering, since they're different words, what the different connotations were.
Okay, so I can I might at least I can go to this point that the notion of an otsar is like a storehouse or a treasure house. In other words, a place where you gather things together. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The word skula may mean precious in a different kind of sense. It doesn't have that sense at all of, like a treasure house in that sense. So
But like a treasure house could be like a silo.
yes, exactly. Exactly. But very often it's got to do with a place like, especially like where you keep gold and silver and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of storing something is there. Whereas skula, I think, means in the sense of precious, in terms of uniqueness or just value. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
That people consider something precious because it's rare. Right. That's why it's that. I think that's the notion of skula. I will tell you that I'm not absolutely certain, but I think that that's the point about skula.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you for asking the question. Okay, let's see. Right here. Unitancha Hashem l'rosh, the Lord will place you as a head, v'lo l'zanav, and not as a tail. V'hayita rak lamala, and you will only be above. V'lo tieh lamata, and you will not be below. And I think that has to do with being below would be subjugated, right? That you will never be in a place of subjugation. Ki tishma, again, it's dependent, right? Because you hearken el mitzvot Hashem Elokecha, the commandments of the Lord your God, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom. This is Moses, of course, I think, speaking, which I command you today. Lishmor v'la'asot, to guard, meaning, of course, to learn and to know what they are, v'la'asot, and to practice them and to do them. So you can see that Moses is trying so hard towards the end of his life to impress on the Jewish people the importance of doing this, and how it transforms the lives that we have, to grant them, give them significance. And I really, truly, and firmly believe it has also to do with immortality, that we use these lives of ours in order to practice kindness. That's essential, right? What is hateful to you, don't do to your neighbor, don't do to your fellow. And then all the other mitzvot that come to in a sense, give beauty to our lives. And that the entire, of course, efforts on the part of our rabbis was to try and to put into practice and take very seriously the words, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And that practicing the mitzvot gives gravitas to that concept. V'lo tasur, and you shall not turn away. Mikol hadvarim asher anochi mitzavcha etem hayom. You shall not turn away from all the words all the matters which I command you today. Yamin usmol, to the left or to the right. Lalechet acharei elahim acherim, to follow after other gods, le'ovdam, or le'avdam, it could be if there's no dagation here, but I'm going to say maybe le'ovdam, to serve them. So, and here is the paragraph in the Torah, and we've just completed the blessings. So, I'm going to keep going, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop the lesson in the middle of all these curses. Now, let's go ahead and see. And I do this with regret, I assure you. V'haya, and it will be, im lo tishma b'kol Hashem Elokecha, if you do not listen to the voice of the Lord your God, lishmor, to guard, la'asot, to perform, et kol mitzvotav chukotav, all his commandments and his statutes, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom, which I command you today. Uva'u alecha kol haklalot ha'ele, all these curses will come upon you, vehisigucha, and they will, well, in a way, lasig means to reach, they will reach you, right? They will come and they will reach you. Arur, and now we go. Arur ata ba'ir, you will be cursed in the city. Va'arur ata basadeh, and you will be cursed in the field. Arur tan acha, o mishartecha, cursed is your basket and your kneading trough. In other words, we're talking about what you collect and what you process the food in. Arur pri vitnechan, the fruit of your loins will be cursed. Ufri admatecha, and the fruit of your land. Shgar alafecha, the birthings of your cattle. V'ashtarot sonecha, likewise, right, the lambs of your flock. Arur ata bevochecha, you will be cursed in your coming. V'arur ata betzetecha, and you will be cursed in your departure. Yishalach Hashem, the Lord will send b'cha you et ha'ma'era. The ma'era is a curse, but the Jastra gives an alternative translation as a destruction. Ve'et ha'ma'huma, and commotion. Ve'et ha'migeret, and calamity. B'chol mishlach yadcha asher ta'aseh, in all that your hand turns to, that you perform. ad hishmadecha, until he destroys you, the ad avadcha maher, and until you perish quickly. Mipnei roa malalecha, because of the evil of your ways, asher azavtani, in that you have forsaken me. Yadbek Hashem Bacha, the Lord will cause to cling to you, et hadever, pestilence, ad kaloto otcha, until he finishes you off, right? Yes, let me just finish the sentence and then I'll take the question. Me'al ha'adama, from off the land, asher atam ba'asham al which you are coming there to inherit. Yes, Lauren.
Two Rashis on verse 20.
Oh, okay. Thank you for catching me. There we are. Yeah, we have lots of Rashis here. Okay. So, Me'era. So, what is a Me'era? He says chesron, right? It's the opposite of a blessing, which means a lack. A lack. Kamo, and he says in Leviticus 13, Sarat Mamheret, right? Leprosy that decreases, right? It takes away the skin, it rots the skin, and so it decreases you. Mahama, right? Shigush kol bahalot. So Mahama, shigush, I'm not certain of the translation of that word, Lauren, if you'll help me. But it means
It
the
says
voice.
confusion.
Ah, thank you. That's okay. So if it said she bush, interestingly enough, I would know what it meant, which means confusion. The word she gush, I never heard. So at least, except when I was reading the Rashi. So confusion, and kol bahalot means the voice of terror, right? They're terrified. Okay, let's do a little bit more. And I know it's early, but we may stop only because I want to be able to go through this in more carefully. Okay. Uh, Yakha Hashem. Let's see, make sure I took care. Yes. Yakha Hashem b'shachefet. So the Lord will smite you with shachefet. These are kinds of diseases. Uve kadachat. Usually kadachat is understood as fever. Uvidaleket. So this sounds like some kind of burning, right? That fever, right? Uvecharchur, uvecherev. So cherev is sword. Charchur, I'm not sure of at this point. Uveshidafon. Usually shidafon means flooding, some kind of flooding. Uh, Uveyerakon, that has to do with rotting, and it's got to do with the word yarok meaning green. So it could be like mildew, that kind of thing. Uridafucha ad avdecha, and they will pursue you until they destroy you. Lauren, if you want to chip in, that's fine. I appreciate the help.
Yeah, so mine says, the Lord will strike you with consumption,
Okay, I'll put
fever,
that in.
illness, fever, illnesses with burning fevers, a disease which causes unquenchable thirst, with a sword, with blast. I think that's what you said is flooding, and
Yeah,
with yellowing, which
yeah,
you said is greening, and I understand your oak is green,
right.
and they will pursue you until you perish.
Right. Right. Let me see if I can put this in here.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, they do say greening. So yellowing I can see is like, you
Right.
know,
It's
things
also,
going bad
yeah,
still on the
right. Yeah,
plant.
rock. Yeah, right. So as I don't know if you can see the little ball spinning on my text, which is preventing me from doing anything further. Even moving the text, I can't do it. So eventually it'll go away. So, all right. Um, again, I think this is an attempt, obviously, to make people realize the consequences of turning away. It's just so easy to turn away from doing these things. So what did we say shachefet was now that I can type that in, Lauren, in verse 22? Okay. All right. Let me stop here. I will stop here. Lauren, I wasn't able to hear what the shachefet
Oh, I
was.
didn't realize I was back off. I said it's consumption,
Thank you.
and there's a Rashi on it.
Okay. All right.
There's
So
lots of Rashi on that verse.
right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I go over this carefully with you. So I'm going to stop for now, and we'll stop the recording.